Welcome to How's Your ePresence on this crisp January afternoon. We are so thrilled that you are joining us here today. We are always excited about helping businesses do a little bit better, do something a little different with their business marketing. And we've got a great show for you today to talk about sound and how you can use the sound of your voice to make a little bit more money. So we're pretty excited that you're here. My name is Mark Galvin. I am your host. This show is produced by ePresence, and we are always looking to create a library of content, constantly growing that library on YouTube, where you can go and search for business ideas, business questions, marketing, maybe even some coaching things to help you do business better today. Just this week, we had a great conversation with Dmitry Kustov of RegX SEO. He and I talked about using geofencing with your business, among other things, on the SEO side. In fact, we're going to bring him back. We're going to talk more with him specifically about the way that you can use content from everyday work for your social and for other places on your digital marketing space. Back in December, we talked about what was going to happen in 22. And before that, we spoke to Lori Thomas Ross of Web Marketing Therapy about how to revolutionize your marketing approach. So those are some of the shows that are sitting out there on our channel. Go check those out. And I think that you'll find that they're really valuable. We always run our shows live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. So we're glad you're with us today. Wherever you are, send us a note. Tell us where you're listening from. If you have a question, hold on to it. You can send it right to us, and we will pose the question to our guest today. We are going to make a little bit of change moving forward with the way we run our shows, and this is going to happen in February. Here's the gig. We're going to go from the 30-minute format to an hour. So we're going to spend an hour talking to our guests live, but we're going to cut them up in two parts and drop them in 30-minute segments on our podcast channel. So that's pretty exciting. Look for that. That'll be coming up in February. But we're still running them live. What's great is you'll be able to tune in and catch one part of the show or another part of the show while we're running that full hour-long show. If you want to, make sure you submit questions. We'd love for that. Just right there on the screen, you can type them in and we'll display it right on the screen. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about social audio. Social audio. What is that? And how does that work? A little bit of piece of this, kind of a hint, is we'll talk a little bit about Clubhouse. And yes, Clubhouse is still out there and cooking along. And what is the value of being a guest or hosting a podcast? I'd like to hear that myself. If you're watching for the first time and you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's over in this side, Mark. Hit that subscribe button and you will be able to hear or get notified when we go live. We'd love for you to know that. So let me tell you about our guest today. Our guest is Katie Brinkley with Next Step Social Communications. She is a social media expert with social audio experience. More to come on that. So stay tuned. You'll be able to hear this. She has 18 years of experience doing all that fun stuff. Here is her specialty. She is really good at helping find the right social platforms for entrepreneurs to focus so they can grow their online presence to overwhelm or without the overwhelm, without the overwhelm. So we're pretty excited that Katie is here today. And I think that you're going to enjoy listening to this conversation. Hopefully you'll join in. Let's see. I don't think I have anything else. Let's go ahead and see if we got Katie out there. Is she available? Hey, welcome, Katie.
Hey, how's it going, Mark?
Good. Welcome to the show. Where are you joining us from?
I am joining you from snowy Denver, Colorado. So it's we're finally getting a little bit of winter here. Like I think our entire December was 70 degrees. So we're finally getting some winter.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It has been warm here in the Southeast. It's cold now. But I have heard there's so much snow that the mountains in the West are starting to get lots of snowpack on them, which is where the western states get all of their water. So that's got to be some good news. I'm not surprised that you have too much, that you're having snow there. Now, did you say you're in Denver proper?
So like it's like 10 miles that way.
Okay.
So
10 miles that away. Well, which way is that away? Is that
that
east,
way is
west?
north. So I'm
North.
actually in
Okay.
Littleton. It's one of the Denver suburbs. I grew up here. I absolutely love Littleton. I mean, it's just a quick, typically quick ride, like right on the light rail to get downtown. But, with traffic and all that stuff, it's turned into a little bit longer of a commute. But yeah, still close enough to get into the city to do some fun things.
Oh, that's really awesome. Well, for those of you who don't know Denver well, there's some neat spots right around Denver. One of them is Colorado Springs, which would be south of Katy. Boulder, Colorado, which is the infamous home of Mork and Mindy, for those of us that remember that. Boulder is a really cool city.
I thought you were going to go a different route, Mark. I thought
really. Where did you think I was going to go? What should have I said? The airport is great.
You didn't. Like now, I feel bad because I went there. It was John Benet Ramsey, but
oh my goodness, I totally forgot it. Well, there is an Atlanta connection with John Benet, right? Heavy connection. I think they came from Atlanta before they moved out there. I haven't. Is that case been solved yet?
It's still unsolved. I don't think
Wow.
I think it's one of those things that will never get solved.
That is fascinating. Yeah. That we could do a show on that. That is a really interesting case, I think. Well, we're not here to talk about John Benet. We're here to talk about you and Next Step Social. So tell me this. What is it that you guys do, and what is social audio?
Yeah, so it's Next Step Social Communications helps entrepreneurs take away the overwhelm. Like you were saying in my intro,
Yeah.
We help people become familiar with social media in as little as 1 hour a week, because I know that
Wow.
a lot of small businesses, a lot of consultants, I work with a lot of personal brands. There's a lot of things to do, and social media often gets thrown by the wayside because it takes too much time in a lot of people's eyes. And what I like to do is teach them how to have a strong social media strategy, a strong social media presence that's generating leads for them with, again, as little as 1 hour a week. And
that's great.
it's all about the training and strategy. But social audio is definitely something that has taken the world by storm. I think that, we're probably going to get into this today, but it's something that if you are not paying attention to, you need to start, because there's a reason why you said Clubhouse. That was the first, but it was the first of many. And podcasting, audio, the sound of voice has been around for a long time. And everyone said that TV had killed the radio star, but we're still here talking, we're still here communicating, and it definitely has a way to connect people faster than any other medium, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So true. I think it's fascinating. The internet was supposedly going to kill radio, right?
Yeah.
And then podcasting was potentially going to kill radio. And I think radio's changed, right? The sound of the voice is certainly changing the way it's being delivered. But there are so many radio stations that people are listening through their Amazon Alexa, cancel. All of those ways, we're still listening to people who are producing audio content. So social audio, define that. What do you say? What does that actually represent? What does that mean?
So with traditional social media, it's all a matter of pretty, Photoshop images, Canva templates, utilizing hashtags. And honestly, if you didn't have a ton of time, resources, or strategy behind it, it really was not moving the needle super fast. And one of the things that social audio can do is it allows you to have a two-way communication. Unlike podcasting, yes, you and I are talking, Mark, but we can't talk to people who are listening right now. We can't hear what their questions are. We can't respond to that. Say like, actually, that's a really good question. With social audio, you can do that. It takes away all of the Photoshop. It takes away all the highlights, and it opens up the door for communications with people that you might never have the opportunity to speak to. It gives you that opportunity to almost be back in a coffee shop again and overhear the table next to you, hear what they're talking about, turn your chair and say, actually, I have a question on that, because it's giving you the opportunity to meet people that you never really would have had the opportunity to connect with because you just weren't searching the right hashtags.
Absolutely. I think that's really interesting. And Clubhouse was kind of I don't think it was officially the start, but that was the first platform that really did launch it. What I
Yeah.
think is really interesting is just the other night, I got a notification on my Twitter account that said, so I am, full disclosure, sitting in Atlanta. Athens, Georgia's right up the street. So the University of Georgia is in the national championship coming up. So it is a little bit interesting to see what's going on in that space. And my Twitter account kicked me the other night, 2 nights ago or so. And there was and I forget, I don't even know what they call it on Twitter. That's really sad. What do they call it on Twitter? It's the Clubhouse
Twitter
version on.
Spaces.
So Twitter Spaces, here's what's great. Twitter knew that I was following the ex quarterback from UGA. He was in a Twitter space, and I got a notification. I pop in, and I'm able to listen to all these past quarterbacks from the university have a conversation. And I could have said, "Hey, let me talk." And it
Yeah.
would allow you to jump in. It's kind of like an easier version of the talk show where people call in and say, I've got a question. But they
Yes.
can just simply turn your mic on and you can throw your questions at the host. And it's not just Twitter that's doing this. What other places are launching their own social audio channels? Where else is this happening?
Who isn't, honestly, Mark?
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
Clubhouse, like you said, Clubhouse definitely seems like it was the first. There was Blab before that, but
Right.
Clubhouse was really the one that took it and made the whole social audio space evolve and really become more mainstream. And honestly, I think that it wouldn't have had the impact that it did if they didn't try and launch it in the middle of a pandemic. Everybody
Right.
was craving to
Mhm.
talk to somebody new, outside of having to get dolled up or whatever for Zoom calls, just to be able to open up an app and talk to people from all over the world and have something in common with them. And people just loved it, and they couldn't get enough of it.
That's true. That's
And
true.
originally, Clubhouse, was booming and booming and growing, and it was just for Apple iPhone, and then Android came in. And right around the time that they opened it up for Android, that is when we saw a lot of Twitter Spaces came out, which is what
Yep.
you were just describing. It's the Twitter
Mhm.
version of Clubhouse. And then we saw Spotify Green Room. It used to be called the Locker Room, and it was all sports talk, but they changed it to Green Room, and they were having a lot more conversations, a lot more podcast kind of conversations on Spotify Green Room. There's Facebook Audio Rooms, which I feel like they could have come up with a better name, but you know exactly what it is. So
Right.
Facebook
Right.
Audio Rooms. There's Slack. Slack has their own channel now for audio spaces in certain Slack channels. There's Discord. They have them too. One of my favorites outside of Clubhouse it's an app called Wisdom. I'm sorry, not Wisdom is there too, but Fireside. And Fireside is backed by Mark Cuban. So you know that he's going to really want to make sure it succeeds. It's really different from the rest of them because they have this option, what you and I are doing right now. So you
Right.
can open up the app and have up to 4 people live streaming. It goes out onto YouTube. It goes onto Twitch. You can watch it live. You get the full transcript of it. You get the download, so you can push it out to your podcast network. So it's definitely a way for you to, if you are an avid podcaster, that is more of a podcast type platform. Because it's more show formatted as opposed to Clubhouse, which I think is more conversation formatted.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. So I tried doing Clubhouse, and I found that it was going to take a lot of time. Have you had some experience where you've worked with someone and they found some success on social audio?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people think that they need to spend all day on these social audio platforms in order
I
to
certainly
have
I
success.
got that impression. In fact, we had a guest on who was talking about that, and he said, "Yeah, you need to." I spent 2 whole weeks developing. I was like, I do not have enough time for that. So I am curious
Yeah.
on what you think.
Yeah, I mean, and I was definitely one of the people when Clubhouse came out. The very first time I downloaded it, I was like, "Well, this seems like a giant time suck. I'm not going to do this anymore." And so
Right.
I didn't open it up again for 3 weeks, and I opened it up around this time last year, and
Yeah.
I I got it. I understood kind of what people were
Mm,
doing on there and the conversations that I could be a fly on a wall for. Like you said, the quarterbacks from Georgia, all
right.
past quarterbacks, just you were a fly on a wall with people that have done something that not very many other people have done. And it wasn't it a cool experience. And there was people like that having these conversations, people that I'd heard speak on at summits, that I'd paid thousands of dollars to go see. They were just talking and it was all free.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that was one of the major draws for Clubhouse when it first got started. And I think why so many people were having like 12 and 14-hour days on the app.
Right.
But it definitely has changed, and it's very I see people on there now very strategically, which is what I is smart because if you spend 14 hours a day on the app, then how do you have any other time to actually be working?
Right.
So what I think that when you are just getting started on it, have a strategy around what types of rooms that you want to host or what type of topics or events that you want to speak on or about.
Hmm.
And the best thing about it is you don't have to speak. You can go and listen. And if you find these rooms, like I was talking about, you can listen to people that are in your industry that, again, you paid thousands of dollars to hear. Or if you listen to their podcast, Amy Porterfield was doing a lot on Clubhouse, and I listen to her podcast all the time. And then there's also the opportunity to network. And that's the biggest thing that these rooms and these social audio apps can do for you. If you don't want to say anything, you all are in the same room, which has a topic at the top. Everyone in that room has an interest in the topic at hand. And
Right.
if you're listening to somebody, you can tap into their profile, learn more about them, and then take the conversation offline. And that's been the true power for me, is just making a lot of connections and seeing what other people out there that I, again, never would have had the opportunity to connect with because I would have never thought to search that type of a hashtag.
So I think it's really interesting, and I've seen that when I get into a room, and one of the things that'll happen is when I'm brought up on stage and I have a question, I can interact with the host of the Clubhouse room. I instantaneously get 10, 20, 30, 50 new people that are following me, and they'll reach out. So that is a great way to build those connections. What if the what if my customers are not there? How have you found that there's ways for people to reach their target audience, their customers in a Clubhouse room?
See, this is one of the things I love is if I work with a lot of real estate agents. And so for me, I will go into rooms where there's real estate agents or mortgage experts
Oh,
or anything like that. I'll go into these rooms and I'll listen to the conversations that they're having. And it gives me a ton of things that I can then either go have a room on or content that I can create to answer their questions. So if they're saying, "Hey, do we think that the mortgage rates are going to go up in 2022?" And then I'll hear their conversations, the different points that they're making. I can craft content answering their questions. I
interesting.
can help them figure out exactly, what I can host a room on it and say, "Hey, is this going to
Uh-huh.
happen? How can you talk to people on social media to make sure that they're aware of it?" So again, a lot of it is active listening in these social audio rooms and taking the questions that your ideal clients and customers have and solving them for them.
Right.
And
Right. That is really cool. I didn't think about that. Finding a room that is focused on your vertical target market and
Mhm.
jumping in that room and joining that conversation, is a great way to, well, build credibility immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a very good way to generate leads, but you got to give value, right? You can't be,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
happened to me plenty of times. I land in a clubhouse room and I heard somebody say, well, this is what I do. And if you want help, you need to reach out to me. I'm like, you haven't given me any value yet, right? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
ready to date you yet. I just want to meet you. But that is really good. I love that. And you could ask the questions and you could even say, I think this is a really interesting topic that's come up a couple of times here. I have my own room. I'm going to talk about this tomorrow and this or whenever. You're
Mm-hmm.
welcome to join in. If you would like more information, I'm going to do some research. Join me. Or
Yep.
I know someone who talks about this. I'm going to
Yes.
have them join me because they're an expert on this, because all of you want to know that answer. I'm going to get the answer. I think that's a brilliant way to grow your reach. Very
It
smart.
it it is. And I think that too, it allows you to continue to position yourself as an authority. And this is the thing, Mark. I mean, obviously you have a podcast. Things happen when you hear someone speak. Things
Right.
happen faster because
Yep.
I can go and do a whole bunch of Google research. I can do a whole bunch of research and put out an amazing post on Facebook or Instagram and create a beautiful carousel graphic to go with it. But the second that if I go on stage and I just give a piece of information, like you said, I don't need to host a
Mm-hmm.
3-hour summit about it. If I just jump in and say, hey, actually, if you do XYZ, have you considered trying that to boost your reach? Or, hey, I just looked at your Instagram and all you have is a whole bunch of pictures of your dog. Of course, nobody knows that you're a realtor because they think it's a personal account. So, I mean,
Right.
there are
I
ways
like
you
dogs. I like
yeah.
dogs, right? But I'm not going to be interested in, what? You sell homes too? Show me your dog.
Well, and I mean, like, that's the thing. You can tell very quickly when someone is legit, when
Right.
someone has the authority in it, when somebody knows what they're talking about and they're not just pulling up a Google page and reading the Google page. I mean, this is
Yeah, it's
where
so
the
cool.
true authenticity stands out. And that is why these connections are happening at lightning speed.
Right. Oh, I think this is brilliant. I love and I love to communicate. I'm a communicator. Unfortunately, our producer Morgan gets to hear me talk more often than I get to hear her talk, because I just like to talk to hear myself talk sometimes. And so I really love this opportunity to get out there and have another way to connect with people, and to connect with a lot of people in really a comfortable format. Here you are joining from your office. I'm joining from my basement. I have 2 dogs asleep right over there, and I can still reach thousands of people from right where I am. I mean, I'm stating the obvious, but it's good to be reminded of those things. So, how you said something that I'd love to drill into. Actually, maybe I said something because it was in your bio. You help businesses figure out ways to spend an hour a week on social and be effective.
Yeah.
How do you do that? And what are some of the tips that you find that you're giving these business owners?
It all starts with a strategy. And I think that so many business owners become overwhelmed that it turns into just throwing spaghetti at the wall, pictures
Right.
of your dog, random things going out on social media.
Right.
And when you take a step back and you create a strategy around your business, your story, when you figure out your story, and that's one of the biggest things I hear so many people say is, oh, well, I'm not special, or there's nothing special about me. I just do XYZ. I just, do flower arrangements or whatever. But really, people want to do business with people. What is
Right.
your story? What do you have to say? What makes you different? And when we can really dial into that and create the strategy and figure out what matters to you and your business, we're not going out and selling. We're creating a community around your business
Mm.
and your brand. And
Mhm.
then that way, every time you show up, if you have time to post daily, then go for it. Majority of entrepreneurs do not have the time to post 2, 3, 4 times a day. and repurpose one piece of content 20 different ways. But if you can create a consistent strategy that you're showing up and building that community, that is when social media is fun again. And again, you have everything done, laid out, again, as little as 1 hour a week. And you can go on to social media and have fun again and really focus on building that community around your business.
I think that's awesome. As a matter of fact, the struggle that I think all business people have is that, well, I think some businesses struggle with the value, right? Where's the true ROI here? And I think the starting point is that you're asking that question. If you're asking the question, there's a reason your industry is interested in that. And there are some industries that social media is not going to work for them. It's just not going to be a place that they should be. But you do need to ask. I think it's good to start off, ask the question, and then developing that simple strategy is brilliant. It really doesn't need to take a lot of time with a smart strategy. So much there. Morgan and I had a conversation just this week, as a matter of fact, talking about 2022 and looking at who is it that we're targeting? Who is it that wants to buy our product? And quite frankly, who is buying our product, right? So who is it that is actually putting money on the table right now? We may think our avatar is this person, but maybe that's not the person buying. You've got to constantly ask those questions. They're hard questions. I don't mind telling you that it's not an easy thing to go through trying to figure that out sometimes. Katie, this is now you see why we're going to go to an hour show for the record. We're at 30 minutes.
I know. Why could you have had me on when we moved to the hour format? Jeez.
Because we decided we're going to go the hour format about 20 minutes ago. So we weren't ready yet. Quite literally, we decided to change that strategy just this week, as a matter of fact, and have changed all the formats to get there. But here's the thing. I really like what you're having to say. I think what you are sharing is super information. I think you are a great person to come back and join us to have an hour-long conversation to really drill into the nitty-gritty. And I mean, we can get a little more granular in an hour and say, here's an example of Joan, who's running this type of shop, and she was able to do X, Y, Z. People want to hear those sorts of things, and you can do that in an hour. We can't do that in 30 minutes. So that's why we're switching that up. Let's do this. Where do you want people to go to find you? Where can folks track you down?
Well, I'm on social media. So you can connect with me on social. But going to katiebrinkley.com is always a great way to connect with me. I'm very active on LinkedIn and Instagram, but katiebrinkley.com is the go-to.
I think it's great. And you're on Clubhouse. What's your handle on Clubhouse?
Katie Brinkley.
Oh, now wait a minute. Your name is unique, but it's not that unique. So you got on Clubhouse early enough that you were able to grab your name, and that's part of the strategy. Get there early, grab your handle. That way you can own it. That's very smart.
Yeah, and I wish I would have done that with Instagram, because on Instagram, I am Katie Brinkley is the name, not just Katie Brinkley, because another Katie Brinkley has done nothing with it. I took it.
So that's sad. Yeah, I'm not going to point this out. There is a handle out there that I really wanted. And on one of the social media channels, somebody from Israel grabbed it. They haven't done anything with it. Done nothing with it. Like,
see
what? It is dormant. It hasn't had a post in 8 years.
Yep.
But I think there ought to be a way that there should be a governing body of social media professional association that says, you know what? That Katie Brinkley that's not doing any work on Instagram, here, let me send you a message. You got 20 days or you're out.
Yes, I 1000% agree. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, if you don't want it, that's okay. Just send you messages. You got 10 days. Nope. You got 10 days left. We're going to yank it from you. And the next time they go log in, they just say, hey, sorry, here's your new handle. You lost your old one. Katie, I'm so glad you were here with us today. No joke. Let's have you come back because I really think that this conversation is one that people need to hear and understand how they can do these things better. So thanks for being with us. Don't go anywhere. I'd like to chat with you just after the show. So hang out And we'll talk to you in about 2 minutes, but thanks for being here. So for the rest of you folks, thanks for joining us here on How's Your ePresence. Now you see why we do this show. We find folks like Katie that can come on and share so much great information that'll help you. I mean, let's be honest. Understanding how you can manage social media in an hour a week, that is valuable. But learning something new about Clubhouse, learning something new. And she, by the way, she rattled off all those names. Wisdom, Discord, Fireside, Spotify Green Room, Facebook Audio Rooms, great name, right? Slack, all those that are getting into that space. It's good to know those things, and we're glad we can share that with you. We are sponsored by ePresence, and we're a full-service social media agency. So what we do is we help people who say, I don't have an hour. I got no time to manage social media. We help companies, we help individuals. We even do consulting and training on how to do social media a little better. Because you are listening today, we're going to give you a discount on all of our service. If you go to that link right there on the screen, e-pr.me/listener. So e-pr, that's short for ePresence, e-pr.me/listener. You can get access to our portal, which will give you a 5% discount on all of our services. So we're thrilled that you're interested in that. Hit us there. Let us know you're watching the show, and we'll make sure you get that discount. This show is everywhere. We are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We're always dropping brand new content, so be sure to subscribe. If you're a new guest, you've not seen this show before, please pop in there and hit that subscribe button on your screen, or follow, depending on where you are. If you are a podcast listener, we drop all of our shows on Friday and we work through them in a library. So for example, this show will be dropped in a few weeks, but we're always dropping brand new content. So if you don't have time to watch a YouTube video, you can always pop us into your podcast channel. How do you find us? Go to our website. Surprise, epresence.me, epresence.me, because it's all about you, /podcast. So it's epresence.me/podcast. You can see all the places that we are dropping our content. Or just go to our website for any of the information on our company. epresence.me is our website. We'd love to have you come join us. This show is produced by ePresence, as I mentioned before. Our producer, writer, and absolutely valuable member of our team is Morgan Wood. Morgan, thank you for all the work you do for us. Until next time, for Katie Brinkley, I am Mark Galvin. Thank you for watching How's Your ePresence?